Hello, my name is John Doheny. I'm the president and CEO of Doheny's. In 1967, my parents started this company to help customers like you make their pools perfect. Today, our pool pros are going to walk you through the basics of pool maintenance.
Before we dive into pool maintenance, it's important that you spend a little time getting to know your pool equipment. What type of filter do you have? What brand of pump? The manufacturer and model number can usually be found on the unit. Then, read through the owner's manuals for your pump and filter. If you do not have them, you can probably find them on the internet. A clean, clear pool depends on three things: good circulation, proper cleaning, and the correct application of chemicals. First, we'll get into circulation. Think of your pool as a clear mountain stream with water flowing freely. If that flow is slowed down, it can allow algae growth, turning it cloudy. The key to good circulation is your pump and filter. Your pump moves the water through the filter, and the filter removes all the little bits that would otherwise make the water cloudy. To make sure your water is flowing properly, your system needs to be running at the correct pressure. Every filter has a pressure gauge that measures PSI. It's typically located at the top of the filter tank. Different pumps run at different PSI, so consult your owner's manual or check with your manufacturer to find the right PSI for your setup. You can also use a simple feel test. Put your hand in front of a water return jet in your pool and see if it feels like the water is flowing freely. If it feels slow, you could have a couple different issues. First, check your skimmer baskets. If they are full of leaves and debris, clean them out and check to see if the flow has improved. If it hasn't, it's probably time to clean your filter. Proper cleaning of your filter depends on what kind of filter you have. For cartridge filters, remove the cartridge and either hose it off or soak it in a cleaning solution. We recommend picking up a spare cartridge so you can keep the filter running while the first cartridge soaks. DE filters are similar to cartridge filters. They have grids or fingers which need to be cleaned periodically. For sand filters, perform a backwash as directed in your owner's manual. To keep your pool circulating freely, we recommend cleaning or backwashing every month or whenever you see that your pressure gauge or water flow are off. So now that your pool is circulating like a champ, it's time to talk about cleaning. First, using a leaf skimmer on a telescoping pole, remove any large floating debris. It's important to do this before the chemicals in your pool have a chance to break down the debris into tiny pieces. The smaller the debris, the harder it is to remove and tends to clog up your system more quickly. Once you've cleaned out the large debris, it's time to brush the pool walls. This removes algae and other small particles. Then, vacuum the bottom of your pool. There are a lot of vacuum options available, from manual vacuums to robotic cleaners. For these purposes, we'll use a typical pole vacuum. Setting up your vacuum is pretty simple. First, turn off your pump and filter. Then install the vacuum plate on your pool skimmer. Next, attach one end of the vacuum hose to the vacuum plate and the other end to the vacuum head. And finally, turn your pump back on. Once the vacuum is set up, be sure to carefully vacuum the entire bottom. Brushing and vacuuming your pool once a week goes a long way towards discouraging algae growth. And while it may seem like a chore, it's a lot easier than trying to get rid of an algae bloom. Take a moment to admire the clean flowing water of your pool. We'll wait. You've earned it. Finally, we're going to talk about chemicals. The proper use of chemicals is essential to keeping your water sanitized, safe, and balanced. The first thing you want to do is test your water. We recommend you test once a week using a test kit or strips. When you test your water, you're primarily concerned with three things: chlorine levels, pH, and alkalinity. Chlorine is used to kill germs in your pool and should be maintained at 1 to 3 parts per million. pH is the measure of the acidity in your pool. Ideally, you want a pH between 7.2 and 7.6. Alkalinity is the measurement of your water's ability to maintain pH. Proper alkalinity is between 80 and 120 parts per million. If you test your water and find any of these levels are off, you'll need to add chemicals to bring them into balance. Before we get started adding chemicals, we need to cover a couple of important safety practices. First, make sure you always read and follow safety information. Second, and this is very important, if the directions call for you to dilute your chemicals in water, always add your chemicals to the water. Do not add water to your chemicals. Why does it matter? Adding water to your chemicals can cause unexpected reactions and result in serious injury. Once you know how to safely handle the chemicals, here's how to fix water that's out of balance. Start with alkalinity. Alkalinity is a buffer for the pH level, so it is important to correct alkalinity balances before you attempt to correct pH. If you find your alkalinity is too high, use pH minus to lower it. If it's too low, add some Doheny's Alkalinity Plus. If your pool pH is too high, bring it down by adding a product such as Doheny's pH minus. If it's too low, use Doheny's pH Plus to bring it up. Low chlorine levels can be brought back into the proper range by simply adding chlorine in the form of chlorine tablets, granular chlorine, or shock. There are two types of shock you should use: chlorine shock and oxidizing shock. They each have a separate but equally important role to play. Shocking is a two-step process, but it's pretty simple. First, use the chlorine shock. Dissolve it in a bucket of water and carefully pour it into the pool, following the perimeter. Make sure it's well distributed. Once you add chlorine to your pool, it's safest to wait 12 hours before anyone jumps in, so do it in the evening and let your pump run overnight. This also keeps the sun from burning off the chlorine. We like to shock our pool on a Thursday, so it's ready for the weekend, which of course is prime swimming time. Step 2, add your oxidizing shock. Like chlorine shock, simply dissolve it in a bucket of water and carefully pour it into the pool using the same process. Unlike chlorine shock, oxidizing shock won't raise chlorine levels, so it's safe to swim after 15 minutes. We like to use our oxidizing shock on a Sunday evening after all the heavy weekend swimming and fun.
And that's a wrap. You now know the basics of pool maintenance. If you still have questions, please visit our website to chat with one of our expert pool pros or to view one of our many tutorials. All the products shown here in this video are available to you on Doheny.com. And as always, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to have access to all of our instructional videos.